Okay, ready to dive into some seriously cool AI stuff.
I'm ready. Let's go.
We've got algorithms predicting Alzheimer's, AI revolutionizing farming, and
Don't forget the ethics. We've got to talk about that
I
too.
absolutely can't leave that out. So much to unpack today.
Yeah, it really shows just how wide-reaching AI's impact is becoming. It's not just tech anymore. It's changing healthcare, how we grow food, even how we fight fraud. It's everywhere.
Okay, let's jump right in with something that really blew my mind. Researchers at Stanford developed an AI model that can predict Alzheimer's years before any symptoms show up.
Really? Years before.
Years. They use early MRI scans and are seeing some pretty accurate predictions.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, the potential is huge, right? If
Uh,
we can find out who's at risk that early, we could come up with treatments to slow it down or even stop Alzheimer's altogether.
totally. It could change how we think about the disease and how we care for patients. It could be a game changer.
It's like a sneak peek into the future of medicine, isn't it? And speaking of amazing advancements, MIT researchers created an AI that's making drug discovery way faster, especially for rare diseases.
Oh, yeah, I read about that. That's huge. The traditional way of discovering new drugs is so slow and expensive, but AI can look at tons of data, see patterns, and find potential drug candidates much faster.
Exactly. It could lead to treatments for diseases that don't have any good options right now. What are your thoughts on AI in medicine in general? Do you find it exciting? Or are you a little hesitant about it all?
I think it's definitely exciting. The potential to cure diseases that were once untreatable is amazing, but I can see why some people might hesitate. There's a lot of trust involved in letting machines make those kinds of decisions. What about you? Do you share any of those concerns?
For sure, it makes you think. But it's important to remember AI is a tool. Like any tool, it can be used for good or bad. The key is to make sure it's developed and used ethically and transparently, and that it's thoroughly tested. We've got to make sure it's doing what it's supposed to.
Couldn't agree more. Testing and ethics are so important.
Okay, let's switch gears for a minute and talk about agriculture. Have you heard about AgriVision?
Yeah, that's a really cool example of how AI can tackle real-world problems.
Right. It uses satellite images and machine learning to predict how healthy crops will be and how much they'll yield.
It's like giving farmers a crystal ball. They can make better decisions about watering and fertilizing.
Exactly. That means more food, less wasted water and resources, and more sustainable farming overall.
It could be huge for food security around the world. It's a big deal.
Definitely. And here's another example of AI making a difference. There's a new app that translates sign language into text in real time.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Right. Imagine the impact on communication, education, work. It's breaking down barriers for the deaf community in a huge way.
It's so empowering. It really opens up possibilities.
And on a completely different note, banks are using AI to fight fraud, and it's working incredibly well. They're getting over 95% accuracy in predicting and stopping fraudulent transactions.
I've heard about that. AI is really good at spotting patterns that humans might miss. It can analyze massive amounts of data to find potential threats.
All right. It's not just about protecting money either. It's used in cybersecurity and other areas where spotting those subtle patterns is crucial.
Totally. It's such a valuable tool for security.
Okay, this next one is a bit more technical, but I think it's super interesting. TensorFlow, which is a popular platform for building AI applications, just released an update that makes it run way better on devices like phones and smart speakers.
Oh, yeah. That means AI can work better without needing to rely on the cloud so much.
Exactly. It opens up so many possibilities for AI that's faster, more private, and more responsive. Think about personalized learning apps that work offline, or medical devices that can analyze your data right then and there.
That's the future right there.
Yeah.
So much potential.
It's incredible. It feels like we're living in a sci-fi movie sometimes. But hold on, there's one more development we need to talk about.
What's that?
The merging of AI and quantum computing.
Oh, yeah. That's where things get really wild. Quantum computing is mind-blowing stuff. It uses quantum mechanics to make calculations that regular computers just can't handle. Imagine combining that power with AI.
It does sound pretty sci-fi. What kind of problems could we solve by merging those two?
We could see big breakthroughs in medicine, materials science, even cryptography, like designing totally new drugs or creating super efficient solar panels.
Or even unbreakable encryption?
Yeah, the potential is massive. It's a field that's barely been explored, but it's definitely worth watching.
Definitely. But with all these advancements come some ethical questions, too. There have been a lot of discussions lately about AI bias, especially when it comes to hiring.
Yeah, that's a big one. There was that recent case that showed how AI systems can actually make existing biases worse if they're not designed and monitored very carefully.
It's a good reminder that we need to be extra careful about potential bias,
Yeah.
not just in hiring, but in any area where AI is making decisions that affect people's lives.
Right. We don't want to just automate the inequalities we already have. We need to build these systems thoughtfully. How do you think we can make sure AI is used ethically as it becomes more common?
I think it's a complex issue. What do you think?
I think it requires a multifaceted approach. Strong regulations and ethical guidelines are crucial, for sure. But we also need to encourage responsible AI development. Prioritize transparency, accountability, and inclusivity from the very beginning.
I agree. That means having diverse teams working on this tech and open conversations about the potential impacts, both good and bad.
Absolutely. It's not a conversation just for tech experts. Everyone needs to be involved.
Exactly. And speaking of conversations we need to have, there's been a lot of talk online about self-driving cars and what AI means for them.
Ah, yes, the self-driving car debate. That's a tough one. How do you teach a machine to make life or death decisions in situations that you can't always predict?
And whose safety should come first if an accident is unavoidable? It's something we as a society need to figure out as self-driving cars become more common.
Right. On the one hand, self-driving cars could make roads safer by eliminating human error, which causes a lot of accidents.
But then there's the whole question of how we can program a machine to make those split-second moral judgments that even humans struggle with.
Exactly. And how do we make sure those systems are as safe as possible, especially when it comes to situations that are hard to predict or recreate in a testing environment?
Yeah, that's tricky. It's a challenge for both engineers and ethicists, for sure. It'll take a lot of discussion and collaboration to find solutions.
It's definitely a work in progress.
This all reminds us that AI is still pretty young and we're learning as we go. We need to be ready to adapt and refine our approach as new challenges and opportunities come up. We've covered a lot today, from Alzheimer's prediction to self-driving cars. What stands out to you as the most exciting or potentially impactful development in AI right now?
That's a tough question. There's so much happening. But I think AI in healthcare is just incredible. We talked about drug discovery and early disease prediction, but there's also personalized medicine, robotic surgery, even AI for mental health support.
It can completely transform healthcare as we know it, making
Yeah.
it more accessible, more effective, more personalized.
Exactly.
And it's important to remember that AI isn't just about fancy gadgets and algorithms. It's about using technology to solve real problems that affect people's lives every day.
Absolutely. Whether it's helping farmers grow food, giving the deaf community better communication tools, or protecting people from fraud, AI is already making a difference.
As we continue developing and refining these technologies, we can't forget about the human element. AI should empower us, not replace us. What are your thoughts on that? How do you see AI fitting into your life down the road?
I think AI can be a powerful tool to enhance our abilities, not replace our humanity. It can take over tedious tasks, give us insights we wouldn't have otherwise, and connect us with information and resources in ways we've never seen before. It's all about using it wisely and making sure it serves us, not the other way around.
That's a great point. The choices we make about AI today will shape its future. We need to be aware of the risks, but also embrace the possibilities.
We are at a turning point, and it's our responsibility to guide AI's development in the right direction. We need open conversations about the ethics, the impacts, and the future we want to build with AI.
Well said. So to wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a thought. We talked about that AI model predicting Alzheimer's years in advance. It's a huge breakthrough, but it also makes you think, what does it mean for us as individuals and as a society if we can predict something like that so early on?
It's a fascinating dilemma. It really forces us to reevaluate how we approach healthcare and preventative medicine. If we know someone is at higher risk for Alzheimer's, do we intervene sooner? How do we weigh the benefits of early intervention against the potential downsides and costs? And how do we ensure people have the information and support they need to make informed decisions?
It's like we're entering a new era of healthcare ethics, and it goes beyond just medical decisions. What about the impact on insurance, employment, even personal relationships? If this kind of predictive information becomes widespread, how do we prevent misuse or discrimination?
All important questions. We need clear rules and regulations to protect people's rights and make sure AI is used ethically. But it also presents a huge opportunity to rethink how we approach healthcare and well-being in general. Imagine being able to use this information to empower people to take charge of their health and maybe even prevent or delay diseases.
It's a future full of potential and uncertainty. And it reminds us that AI is about more than just technology, it's about people. It's about how we use these tools to shape the world we live in. Any final thoughts?
Stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged. AI will keep evolving rapidly and will impact almost every aspect of our lives. It's on all of us to be part of the conversation, ask the tough questions, demand transparency, and make sure AI is used to create a better future for everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So to everyone listening, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep sharing your thoughts on this amazing and always changing field. The future of AI is being written now, and we're all part of the story.
Don't forget, the biggest question isn't just what AI can do, it's what it should do.
That's a perfect way to end this deep dive into the world of AI. Thanks for joining us. So to wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with something to think about. We talked about that AI model predicting Alzheimer's years in advance, and
It's a big one, isn't it?
yeah, it really is. It's a breakthrough for sure, but it also raises some really, really interesting questions. Like, what does it mean for us if we could predict something like that so far ahead of time?
It makes you rethink things, that's for sure.
For sure. I mean, for us as individuals, for society as a whole, you know.
It challenges us to think differently about healthcare and preventative medicine.
Yeah.
Like if we know someone's at higher risk, should we start treatment earlier? How do we balance those benefits with the potential downsides and costs?
Yeah, that's a big one.
And how do we make sure people have the information and support to make the best choices for themselves?
Exactly. It's almost like a whole new world of ethics in healthcare. And it goes beyond just medical decisions too, right? What about things like insurance or employment?
Oh, absolutely.
Even personal relationships could be affected. If this kind of predictive information becomes more common, how do we prevent it from being used the wrong way or leading to discrimination?
All valid points. We definitely need clear rules and regulations to protect people and make sure AI is used ethically. But it's also a chance to change how we think about healthcare and well-being as a whole. Imagine using this information to empower people to be proactive about their health, to maybe prevent or delay diseases altogether.
It's a future filled with potential, but there's also a lot we don't know.
Definitely.
And it all comes back to the idea that AI isn't just about technology, it's about people. It's about how we use these tools to shape our world and our lives. Any last thoughts for our listeners today?
I think the most important things are to stay curious, stay informed, and stay involved. AI is going to keep advancing at an incredible pace, and it's going to affect almost every part of our lives. It's up to all of us to be a part of the conversation, ask the tough questions, demand transparency, and make sure AI is used to create a future that benefits everyone.
Perfectly said. To all our listeners out there, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep sharing your thoughts on this incredible and always evolving field. The future of AI is being written right now, and we're all a part of it.
And remember, the most important question isn't just what AI can do, it's what AI should do.
That's the perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI.